Hello,
Oh, there you're
Hola.
on.
how
Is
are
that
you?
is that
Very
Paris
good.
behind? Is that Paris behind you? What city is that?
Say it again.
What's that city behind you? It's a map.
Rome,
Oh, it's
Rome.
Rome. Oh, okay.
My grandson has access to a 3D printer,
Oh,
so he decided to make me one.
let me.
Can you see it?
Oh, I can't see it because it's blocked out.
But
It blurs into it.
Yeah,
it's white, but you see in the
I
back
see the
of me
detail. Yeah, I
that
see the Colosseum there on the right.
that's the only thing I recognize, and I think I
Yeah,
recognize the Vatican, but I don't know. I'm not so sure.
I see a red yarmulke there. Maybe that's the Pope.
Could be,
Yeah,
could be.
It's Trump.
it's Trump.
No, Trump was busy today at the Slovak River.
The
At the
kever of
Ohel, yeah.
the Rebbe. He was at the kever of the Rebbe.
Yeah, and then he went to Florida. My son was in Miami, so he went to go see him at the event.
And
You know what?
Great,
But
the
they're
crazy
the
about it.
only two that came out really strong supporting us.
Yeah,
Him and Vance.
yeah, she was there. Adelson was there, the billionaire lady.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Tomorrow we'll learn at 7 p.m. Daf Yomi, and then the Tzurbas at 8.
okay,
I will do the best I can.
Right.
all right,
We're on 104.
correct.
Kuf Dalid Amid Aleph. So we're Ma'u Machzirlo. The Mishnah said that, remember we said if you sell a base core, which is 75,000 square amas, depending on what phrase you use, whether you say hein chaser, hein pachot, that means if it's not exact, then it could be 1/24th. If there was a miscalculation of the area by 1/24th, less than 1/24th of the total land, the deal goes through. If it's
But what will there's going to be a star, right?
say again,
There's going to be a document, a star for the sale.
there's a document. It says
But
hein.
the document will say it's a base core more or less.
Yes, hein.
Wow.
Yes, it more or less. That means if it just says mida b'chevel, it says
Yeah.
measured by the rope, then it's got to be exact. But if it's hein chaser, hein yoser, about 75,000 square amas, so then you tolerate a discrepancy of 1/24th is what the
Okay.
Mishnah taught us. And if it's more than that, you can return. The money has to be, either he gets more land or he gets more land, he has to pay more money, or he just gets his money back. We said, Mao Maxwell Mos. The seller has the choice. Does he want to get, if he sold, let's say, 1/24th less, he can get money back, or he gives the land away, or he gets his land back. It's his choice. And the Mishnah says was liyapos koicha shel moicher amrina. It was to strengthen the hand of the seller. So the Gemara, what do you mean? Liyapos koicha shel lokech lo. Why shouldn't we strengthen the hand of the buyer? Vatanya. If you sell a smaller amount, piche shiva kavidu mechzel lakur. If the discrepancy was less than 7.5 kavs per kur, which was a quarter of a kav for every beit saw, Oh, hosir, it's more than Shivas Kabin Mechzel Akor. Higio. If it's within that range, the deal is okay. Yoiser Mikan, if it was more, that you force the seller to sell more land. Of course, the buyer will have to give him more money, but the buyer gets to get more land. So here they're strengthening the hand of the buyer. So how can you have it both ways? Hasam, the buyer didn't want more land. The land is more expensive now than at the time he bought it. So he would get less land. Damrinan lay, we say to the seller, in the name of the buyer, if you give me more land and you want to take money, havli kazola katashta. Give me more, give me the land according to the current low price, which will give me more land. So the Gemara says, Vatanya kishu noisen lo kishar shelo kach mimenu. The price is at the original selling price. So that price, that was cheap in the beginning and only went up now. Then you force the seller according to the cheaper price, at the time of the sale, but not in all cases. Then im shayir besoda base tisha kapin. If there was an additional piece of land that you could sow 9 kav, so the buyer gives back the land. In that case, the moicher can't demand money. That means even if it's not contiguous land, it's a big piece of property, and there's a small piece here and small piece here and small piece here. When you add it all up, it's tisha kap. In that situation, the buyer can return to the moicher these pieces of land. Rav Nachman ever know? Noisin shiva kavinu mechzel l'chol kur v'kur. It's a quarter of a cup for every base saw. If that's the difference, if the buyer and the seller are moichel, if it's within that range, and even if you add it all up, and it's not in one contiguous area, the ika milsi yasera, if there's another piece of land more than the rova lebesa, the avitisha kav, up to 9 kav hadri, then it's returned. Eisrael Rav Nachman. Our Mishnah said, Im shayir besoda base tisha kabin, if the extra was 9 kav, so he has to return the land. Now, isn't this lav dezavin like kurayim? It's a big piece of land. It's two core. And therefore, it's not the normal 1/24, because you're talking about 2 core, less. So the Gemara says, "Lo, the zavin le core." It was the standard amount, which was 75,000 square hours. Now, uvegina, what we set up till now is a field that's producing produce, like wheat or barley. What if it was a garden, either vegetables? So there, base chatzi kav, it's a much smaller amount that if this is different, you return the land. And isn't it lav dezavin le'sasayim? Even if it's a huge amount, it's not doesn't really fit the fraction. Even if it's roiva kav. What's this law? The mezabin le saw. He sold the exact amount, which is the shear that the Mishnah told us about. He did Rabbi Kiva. According to Rabbi Kiva, it's base rova. If it's a smaller amount, roiva kav, that's already enough to return it. And my lav dezavin le saw that it was, you sold a saw. What's this law? Chatzi saw. So the ratios remain the same. Then we said if it's a gina, you can reverse the sale if it's just chatzi kav. So boy Ravashi, what if it originally was not a gina? It was a sodeh. Venasa gina was turned into a gina. Or vice versa, it was a gina venasa sodeh. My. Do we look at the ratios like it was a sodeh, which is 9 kav for every saw? Or do we done it as a gina, which is only a base chatzi kav? Teku. It's a suffix. We don't have the answer. Tana. If the field that was sold is next to another field of the seller, and we said afilu kolshu machzir lo karka, the seller can always demand land, not money, because even if he's given a small piece of land back, it's not a loss for him because it's connected to another piece of land that he already has there. Because we said the reason why he could demand money is getting a small piece of land back from the buyer. It's not worth it for him. But that reasoning goes out the window if he already has an adjacent piece of land there. Boy Ravashi. Let's say there was a bore, a water cistern between the fields. Ma'u shetafsik. Does that create a hefsik between the two fields? Or amasamayim, a river, ma'u shetafsik. Or derech harabim, a public thoroughway, ma'u shetafsik. Or richba de dikla, a row of palm trees, ma'u shetafsik. So, again, teku, we don't have an answer. Then the Mishnah says, Lo zarova bilvad machzirlo, elas kolas moiser. You got to return all the extra land that was sold, not just the minimum amount that's above the shear. So the Gemara says, klape laya? It's just the opposite. Means it's the additional land that's given back beyond the extra. So Tani, Ravin Barav Nachman, Lois Amoyser Bilvad Machzer, Elis Kola Revoin Kula. That if the case is a case where you have to return all this excess land, he doesn't return the excess land Bilvad. Everything that was above what was measured, that the star initially detailed between them. Now, last Mishnah we learned that there were two mechanisms of selling a big piece of land. You could say mida b'chevel, you measure it by the rope, or hein chaser, hein pachas, more or less, like Mario said, more or less. Well, what if you use both languages? You say mida b'chevel ani moichelacha, hein chaser, hein yaser. I'm selling you 75,000 square amas exactly to the measure with the rope, more or less. So he basically has made two opposite conditions. So, botel hein chaser hein yaser. We nullify what he said, hein chaser hein yaser, and the din applies as the mida b'chevel did. Mida b'chevel. And then, therefore, as long as it's within 1/24th, the Mecca continues. Now, what if he said the opposite? Hein chaser, hein yoser, mida b'chevel. Say more or less, I want it to be done by the rope. Bitel mida b'chevel. And you're left with hein chaser, hein yoser, different bananas. That's how bananas learns. And we'll see the Chachamim argue with Ben. We'll go through this tomorrow.
Okay, guys, leaving tomorrow, so we'll see you when we see you.
Oh, safe travels, Johnny.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip.
Travels, Johnny.
Safe
Thank you.
travel.
Safe travels.
Try
Johnny,
to
did,
start-
did you vote
try
already,
to-
Johnny?
I got the balance. Yes, I voted.
Okay, make sure you vote a few times. Make copies.
Make copies. Okay.
Try to join us as much as you can for the shiur.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll try. Otherwise, I've always.
Have a safe trip.
Okay, thank you.
Safe
Bye.
trip. Safe trip,
Say
Johnny.
bye
Bye.
to Helene. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Ernie, what time are we learning tomorrow?
At 7 p.m.
Oh, 7 p.m. That's what we said. Okay,
No,
Okay.
7.
7. Okay.